welcome to another edition of the Pick and Downs podcast. I'm your host, per usual, Sean Tyson, here with Zoo and P. Bush. How you fellas doing?
Doing well, man. Made the trade for the 101, man. Had to pair up my boy Bijan with Jamar Chase and Josh Allen. Keeping it rolling, man. Only 2-2 this week. It was kind of a tough week. You were either feasting or famining, to be honest, this week with the first bye week. I think a lot of people had big players on bye week this past week. So if you made it through, hopefully you did. But greener pastures are ahead.
Yeah, not gonna like in fantasy wise, I actually did quite well, 3-1. But I'm just so upset I couldn't get a deal. Like when life gives you a beautiful trade, you gotta grab it and close the deal. Like that's one thing. When life gives you lemons, you gotta make lemonade sometimes. Even though they're like, yeah, we don't want to give you this lemon. You just gotta grab it, snatch it, squeeze it, and juice it. And sometimes, like, you gotta get the job done. You gotta get the job done and let the guy slip on the trade, and he pivoted some other deal. He got bamboozled. I couldn't do the bamboozling. So that was a fail on my part. So that 3-1, I'm kind of like, whatever. Like I should have got the deal done. So that is still on my mind, like a little too much. Like I've been thinking about that trade a little too much this past week. So I'm just saying, oh, Jamar catches the ball. Am I surprised? Not at all, because that's what he does. He is kind of a boom bust guy. Like when he has those nuclear games, he has nuclear games, but he does have those games where he just 4 catches for 40. Like that's just a little more of a volatility relative to like a Bijan Robinson or a CMC, where the 4 is just so much higher. Yep. But Jamar has those nuclear weeks, so still thinking about that trade. So advice for everybody out there: when a great trade opportunity happens, the other guy needs a little push, add a little sweetener just to get the deal done, just a little something. Overpay just a little premium to get the deal done. It is absolutely worth it. Absolutely.
Yeah, hindsight's 20/20 though, Zoo. Let's be honest. Let's remember where people were at with a lot of players who were cold as of last week before the games.
That's true.
Yeah.
Mind.
Those guys, Chase, Jefferson.
Yep.
I mean, maybe McCaffrey, depending on his quarterback situation. Like any of those star guys who are depending on getting the ball. Not so much maybe running back, but pass catchers. Some would even argue, the guy we're about to talk about next, Brian Thomas Jr., sometimes the talent is so extreme that you're going to just assume that, hey, eventually the talent wins out and they're going to maybe, save your weeks and make up for the lost weeks in the beginning. I was in the same situation with Justin Jefferson. Now I'm kind of looking at this situation with Carson Wentz that let's not say he's the savior, but fantasy-wise, I do love him with Justin Jefferson. And I'm kind of going to be looking at, in the next 2 to 3 weeks when we start hearing reports about McCaffrey ramping up, practice time and things like that, I might not be as excited because, at least for, like I said, fantasy-wise, Justin Jefferson has been doing me well with his, I guess you would say. And if you're an Addison owner, I think it's been pretty well, too. Like, he's been doing well with getting those guys.
They've helped each other. That's the thing.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. It's opened up the game for both. So that's just kind of the, ups and downs of fantasy. But kind of want to get into more of a, let's just say immediate future and, 3-4 years down the road take with some receivers. Unfortunately, Malik Neighbors went down with not only, so he tore his ACL, he tore his PCL, I think had labrum issues. Like he's had a lot of injuries, and that was something that you didn't really think happened on that one little play, but it was a lot of things that were bothering him. So he is unfortunately out for the year. Brian Thomas Jr., who we just talked about a second ago, his ups and downs of the season, and Emeka Ibuka, who's kind of just bursting onto the scene. These are 3 guys I kind of wanted to look at in their first and second years and get the guys' thoughts on, let's just say for the next 5 years, who would you be more inclined to take and build your receiver core around? And P. Bush, I'm going to let you start this.
It's tough, man. This is a great prompt. They're all absolute studs in their kind of in their own ways. They're all very different players if you think about it. BT Jr. is really he's the yak guy, kind of a bigger receiver. Malik's the smaller, slimmer, kind of a little bit of a Jamar Chase with more of a jump ball ability. And then you got Ibuka, who's just been putting on a clinic. I don't know why on X you keep seeing here, he's got the worst separation scores and all that shit.
Yeah.
Damn, man. This man is defenses like it's his job, and it is. And he's been paying off dividends if you drafted him probably in the 7th, 8th, maybe even 9th round, depending on how newbie your league mates are and when it comes to rookies. But I will say, once again, he is a rookie. right? And not saying, I think it's a little different than quarterbacks when we talk about, there's tape on you, right? There's tape on you, sophomore slumps. We don't see that as much with positional players or maybe as consistently. So I'm going to kind of take that out the window. I do think he's in the best situation with Baker Mayfield. I think I forget how long his deal is through. I want to say they only gave him maybe like a three-year extension at the time, but I'd be willing to guess they'll probably continue to extend him if great season or two. So he's got the best quarterback situation by far, and he's got the best wide receiver room opportunity along with mentorship, right? We heard Mike Evans rave about him. I'm sure Chris Godwin would echo the same thing. But you also got to take into account both of those guys' age and injury history, right? So this guy is going to be the clear wide receiver one there in Tampa in about – it might be right now, but fully in about a year. And I think similar to, ironically, he's been playing better without Mike Evans on the field. You'd think a guy drawing some coverage away might actually help. And maybe it's just him getting into the system and all that too, them working together on the field. I think we'll see that. But you don't really get to see that with BT Jr. or with Malik Neighbors because they just don't really have anyone else in their wide receiver room. Sure, you can talk about Wan'Dale Robinson, or you can talk about Parker Washington and Travis Hunter, man. I don't know. That's looking like a tough draft pick by the Jags. But their quarterback situations are more iffy. I do like that they are moving to Jackson Dart in New York a little bit earlier than maybe some other teams would be willing to take a risk on. But Daboll's trying to save his job for sure. And, whether they allow him to continue developing Dart is yet to be seen. I think it'll depend on how they end up turning out this season. But I like the fact that I think Malik is the best wide receiver talent-wise of all three. By far. Like Buka's great.
I'm with you on that.
But if you're talking ceiling level, Malik Neighbors is the best of these three. It's just that the injury, we have no idea what he's going to look like. He's a young guy. I'm sure he will bounce back. We've seen great players come back from a huge injury like that and play extremely well. And then we've seen other guys falter a little bit, take a little bit of time. I don't think he'll be fully healthy by probably mid to late next season, even if he does make training camp at the beginning of the 26th season. So I'm going to steer away from Igbuka or from Malik Neighbors just because of the uncertainty coming off the injury. And Brian Thomas Jr., man, I just don't know what's going on with him. Maybe it's a mental game. I have no idea. I'd also attribute a little bit of Liam Cohen's offense getting used to the new system. I think that also has to do with Trevor Lawrence getting used to a new system. I mean, we got to talk about those Chiefs last night, Zoo, choking against the Jacksonville Jaguars, huh? They didn't lose to the Giants. They lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. But at the same time, that was all Trevor Lawrence in his legs, man. I mean, he had 54 rushing and 10 carries. I mean, Travis Etienne didn't even play well. He had that great Parker Washington on the left side there. I think it was in the second quarter. But, sure, T-Law, maybe he continues. But it's year 5, man. And he's still this inconsistent. That just gives me a little bit of uncertainty in regards to the entire offense, even if Cohen is a god at play calling and can somehow get this team to the playoffs. And they're 4-1, man. I mean, they're not a bad team. A lot to do with the defense, but Brian Thomas Jr., man, I think he'll get out of it. I think he's just in a bit of a rut. There is a sophomore slump right there. That's an example that I overlooked.
Yep.
Maybe Luka comes back to earth. I think he does come back to earth at some point. He's a great receiver, but I'm sorry, man. He's not Calvin Johnson. He's not Randy Moss. It looks like if you just looked at his stat sheet, it looks like he's Randy Moss right now. He isn't that player. So, if all were healthy, I'm taking Malik Neighbors. But as of right now, with the uncertainty of the injury, I'll take Igbuka at this point. Brian Thomas Jr., man, he's got to show me something these next few weeks, man.
Absolutely. I know you mentioned that comparison to Randy Moss, but Emeka Egbuka, third player since 1970, with 425 plus receiving yards, 5 plus receiving touchdowns through 5 career games, along with Randy Moss and Jamar Chase.
There you go.
You're talking about these are Randy Moss is probably the second greatest receiver of all time. Jamar Chase might be one of the greatest receivers of the modern generation right now. So he's putting himself in company statistically with these guys. It is a very, very small sample size. But in the small sample size we have seen, all this guy has done have been producing at a level where I had some high expectation of Emeka Egbuka. I was like, this guy could be that guy as that rookie receiver, the sleeper pick. But he's outperforming those expectations right now because what him and Baker are doing right now. So actually, this is special, as you mentioned. No Mike Evans, no problem. Like with Mike Evans out, no worries. 160 yards, 7 targets, 7 catches.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm like, this dude is producing at a level where I'm like, they were right. Like this is when like the off season training camp, all the hype was real. All the hype. Sometimes you hear some false, like people are saying whatever, but everything about this guy's high IQ and his character and Bake Show pretty much saying like this guy could do it all. And as a rookie, he doesn't like feel like a rookie. This guy looks like a complete like a receiver, like a vet receiver based on his IQ and his feel for the game. And he just kind of just goes in and just immediately gets touchdowns at a level where it's sustainability, as you mentioned, like 5 touchdowns in 5 games. Okay, that if he maintains that pace, like he might be having one of the greatest receiving seasons of all time. So I don't know if he's going to keep that pace right now. But if you're looking at that sample size with a Brian Thomas Jr. right now, where all we can say is disappointing numbers wise, and him producing wise, like dropping passes and not producing at a level where people have an expectation of this guy being getting 1,200, 1,300 yards again, at least replicating what he did last year and double-digit touchdowns. And he's not really shown that he's that alpha receiver this year based on his production-wise, where obviously Trevor Lawrence versus Baker Mayfield, I think everybody agrees the Bake Show is the better quarterback. Right now. Like, both former number 1 pick. What Baker's doing is he's just actually phenomenal because after last year where I thought like that was his career season, we might see a little regression. Not really. Not really at all. Like now, like imagine losing Godwin, losing Mike Evans, replacing with a rookie receiver, losing a OC coach. Kind of like losing an OC, kind of like whatever right now. They just move on and like have they really fallen off offensively? Not really. Like the production, like they scored over 20 points every single game against Seattle last week. They dropped 38 points. So the offense right now, it doesn't really seem to be an issue at all right now. So like based on like the situation as you mentioned, and Brian Thomas, the mental thing, maybe there's something up there too. But like, based on what I've seen, I think Emeka's mental is a little better than Brian Thomas Jr.
Oh, for sure.
A lot of it, I think, is like mental errors and mental mental capabilities is not as good as Emeka Egbuka right now. So like, I love Brian Thomas Jr. coming in the year, but he's still getting 50+ yards per game. Like he's not chopped liver. Like he ain't garbage. Like
no, he had a couple good catches yesterday.
Yeah, a couple good catches. Like all he got is he gets one of those deep bombs to go and drives in for a touchdown because he's still got that big play yak ability. So we'll remember that Brian Thomas Jr. is still an awesome receiver with elite size, strength, and speed. But right now, based on the production right now about Emeka Egbuka with the quarterback situation, gotta go with him. Malik, as you mentioned, injuries like an injury like this could derail your entire career. We saw what that did to Odell Beckham. Like him, the injuries just kind of caught up with Odell Beckham Jr., where he was a transcendent elite receiver, and then the injuries caught up, and he was kind of never the same player again. And I think they have very, like, I don't know if it's the LSU connection, but they got very similar body types. Where they're smaller guy, a little thinner in frame, so maybe these injuries is harder for guys like these guys to recover because, the talent is there. Like obviously the situation has never been there, but regardless of the situation, he's been producing year over year. Even the start of this year, he was producing dramatically. But good luck with these injuries because this is like I know we have great technology and all, but it's not a given just to bounce back from a knee ACL injury. Like,
he's lucky he's young. He's younger than Odell was.
He's younger, so he can come back faster. So in the second year, obviously, like his career is be hopefully a very, very long career, but it is asking a lot for a guy that relies on that athleticism to create plays as a shorter receiver, as I would say a skinnier receiver relative to those big touchdown receivers, those red zone guys where they can rely on their strength and size outside of their speed. Like he relies on his speed completely.
Speed and jumping ability. Yep.
Exactly. So it's gonna be tougher for a guy like
D-Rose in him.
Oh yeah.
Let's hope that's not the trajectory he goes on in terms of injuries with Malik. I kind of just looking at obviously to me, you guys have kind of basically has said this is like a Malik and Emeka argument, and I'm kind of with you on that. With Brian Thomas Jr., it's hard to kind of give him a pass because he was so great last year. And sometimes that we learned with a lot of these receivers, point in case, I know Jamar Chase is further along in his career, but point in case, he's playing with Jake Browning and he's still figuring out. And maybe that's an OC thing. Maybe it is a thing with the Waldron stuff. I don't know. And eventually, if this season does not, because right now they're 4-1. So it's like he's not doing well what the team is. So it's going to be hard if they actually end up being really good and make the playoffs. Waldron's still going to probably be there. So that didn't pretend to be good for Brian. But I'm just saying if maybe it's an OC thing, and as we see with Jamar, he's still able to figure out how to get open. Same thing with Justin Jefferson. He's got Carson Wentz. And it may not be fair because while on one hand you could say Brian Thomas Jr. was on that trajectory last year, it is not fair to compare him to Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase because those are Hall of Famers. So I don't think anybody's saying that Brian Thomas Jr. won't be great, but I mean, at least for me, I shouldn't even be using those two as examples because if you're a Hall of Fame receiver, you're just going to know how to get open. It doesn't matter. Me, you, whoever can go out there and throw the football, you were going to be able to, if we have decent options, we can get the ball to Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. So that aside, I really do think it comes down to Ibuka and Neighbors. And only reason why I want to lean Neighbors slightly is because what we just brought up with him being in his year 2 and him being able to overcome injuries. I think he'll be able to, if this was year 6 or year 7, I would probably lean more towards but Ibuka's earlier in his career. He doesn't have a lengthy injury list. But I was looking at the Neighbors injury. It's a meniscus in his torn ACL, and I think it's PCL. I can't confirm PCL, but it's basically he's going to be. If I was the Giants, because he is a franchise, I probably wouldn't bring him back till maybe very, very late last year, and that's just to maybe get some run. I would not be trying to ramp up and try to get him out there faster because if you got multiple things going on, and I don't know if it's in the same knee or if it's opposite knees, don't risk that because that's the guy who, in his heyday, which was last year, he's going to be able to get you. I think I'm looking at his numbers, he's 1,200 yards. He had 7 touchdowns. Malik Neighbors was a pretty much
120 catches.
Star. Yeah, literally, he was that dude. So to me, I can't just, and I don't know what Ibuka is going to end up getting to. Maybe he gets over 1,000 yards. I think it's a real possibility. He might end up with more touchdowns.
Oh yeah.
He might end up with way more touchdowns. And I don't want to overreact because it's the one thing we do in this league, whether it's quarterback, whether it's receiver, whether it's running back, whatever position that has the football and makes impact plays, they adjust. So then it's we would have to see what Ibuka is going to be next year. But I think why someone will argue that you guys are have the best answer out of all these three is because the thing with Ibuka is obviously he's athletic and like you said, people fortify all that separation score stuff. Throw that out the window. Ibuka obviously, because even if you just say, let's say he's not the fastest, right? The thing about receiver is he know how, not only knows how to run routes, obviously, but he knows where to sit in zones. He's I feel I think Zoo brought up a point. He's more cerebral. I think he understands the position better than most, obviously better than rookie counterparts, and also better than a lot of his counterparts that are, he would say you would say he's rising to. So that alone, I could probably see that may project being better in the future because a guy that I was thinking about in my head of who is his comp, or not even just comp in terms of play style, but in terms of just raw athletic, I guess mile markers and stuff like that, is I was thinking of DeAndre Hopkins.
A little bit.
I know this pro day he ran a 4.4 or whatever, but all those guys really run really well on the pro day or on the combine. But if you watch him at Clemson and when he was running routes, he was a technician, and people forget, when he was coming in. He was, I think, around the same time as Sammy Watkins, and he was the same time as Martavius Bryant. And everybody was hyped about Martavius because he's a 6'4" guy, go ball guy. He can, it's just basically you can run 9 routes with him, whatever time you're going to go get it. Sammy Watkins was the 5-star, and that was just super speed. You can put him in jet sweeps, just do it all type of receiver. And then there was DeAndre Hopkins, and because I'm from the area, he was a safety, not a safety, but a corner safety a little bit through his first 2 years. He had I think 15 or 16 something interceptions as a sophomore. People were saying oh, he could play defense. because he wasn't explosive as a receiver. But the thing that people didn't really realize is that he had the instincts for the position. Like to me, I think if you're on defense and you're doing that type of stuff in high school, like that means you got really good like hand-eye coordination, ball skills, all of that, right? And when he got to Clemson, he just started getting into the rotations, being basically the number one receiver. Why? Because he could run routes. He was very instinctual. He know where to sit in zones. He could catch the football. So and he was really good at 50 balls. Like that's what he was really good at. So the thing is like Ibuka has a little bit of that early in his career, and I think that's going to age way more. That's going to age well versus someone like maybe a BTJ or like even a Malik Neighbor, especially coming off the injury. That once you lose your explosiveness, like how are you separating? How are you getting more involved in the passing game? So I do understand that. I just think that because it's year 2, I'm going to give Neighbors the benefit of the doubt that he'll be able to bounce back. And to me, I like to value the separation, the deep speed, and like Neighbors' skill set kind of trends more towards Jamar Chase and how he plays. He's just not as like big. Like Jamar, what makes him special is that he's kind of almost like a Debo light, but more explosive. Yep. And it's like he's just kind of a different cat in that aspect. Malik they're kind of the same size, but like Zeus said, he was more of Odell. I almost would wonder. I mean, Odell and him probably the same 40 time, whatever. But it feels like Malik's just faster. But I'm just going to bank that Malik's going to be able to bounce back. And I still would say, just based off his first year, they had 1,200 yards and 7 touchdowns. Like, I think that is going to be a slight edge. Like, I'm not saying it's a gulf. I think it's a slight edge that I think he'll have a better career. And if you're going to tell me the quarterbacks and Jackson Dart and Baker Mayfield, then yeah, I would have to lean Ibuka. But I mean,
but I would also say that look at what he did with the quarterbacks he had. Like Malik Neighbors. Look, Ibuka, he can't choose where he gets drafted, right? He got Baker Mayfield. That's great, right? But he's getting a top, what would you say, top 8 quarterback right now?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Compared to, aging out Russell Wilson, last year we got what? No, not even Daniel Jones. Who was our quarterback last year? I don't even remember. Tommy DeVito, all these guys.
One of those guys.
Well, a plethora of those dudes. And it's kind of, I'd say it's very much like what Garrett Wilson's had to deal with throughout his whole, pretty much his whole career.
Another one. Garrett Wilson is another one, but I probably should have.
Because he's a little more like Ibuka, in my opinion.
What's his year? Is he year 3? He might be a little bit older. That's probably why I did.
No, I think he came out in 21.
Yeah, so he's about 4 maybe or something. He's a little older.
He's in his year 4 season.
Yeah. But he's another guy where he's another Ohio State receiver, but he has been a victim of the quarterback position. But he is, because the thing about him is he's like because his body is like Devontae Smith, but he's way more springier and like more spectacular catch guy. Like he can make some crazy catches.
And I'll tell you who I'll take over all of the ones we've mentioned today. Maybe not Malik, maybe not, but I'll take JSN over all of them.
He's another one.
Wow.
He's another one too.
OSU University.
He probably blends. He probably has the best blend of speed, athleticism, and route runner. Like he probably has all of it. Yep. He's not a technician. Like he can, if he gets a step on you, he's gone too. He's another one. And I think he was the one that had the crazy Rose Bowl game. I think wasn't it him? I don't think
right.
Ibuka.
I don't know. Well, Garrett Wilson and Olave, when they asked him which of the two of you is better, they both said
Olave, man.
JSN. They both said it was JSN. They're like, who's the best Ohio State wide receiver? And they all said it was JSN. And they all thought they were just trying to be nice teammates. Nope.
Yeah, like I said, you got Jeremiah coming. It's Ohio State. It's not so much because all of these teams that are blue bloods in college get great receivers. It's Heartline. If you know anything about Heartline, the development of the position is what separates them. Because
and he was a good receiver for the Dolphins.
Yeah, himself.
For a lot of years.
And he's, I think, I don't think he's he might be the OC now. Ohio State. I'm not sure. But he's been responsible for all of these guys, recruiting wise, getting them there and then developing. So it's like it's not an accident that these guys that go to Ohio State are high ranked, they end up getting into the league and it's just ready off the jump. Like that's not an accident. So like you said, we'll see how it goes. Like I said, I'm hoping that Neighbors is able to bounce back because I do think, to your point, people, if everything is equal, he's got the route running and the skill set to ascend to where maybe they can get close to Jefferson or Chase. But like I said, I got to stop using just a self.
Nah, they're in their own tier, man.
Examples. Yeah, like this is different.
Why you got to trade for them whenever they're right in front of you, you know?
Yeah, they're just different dudes. Different dudes. But speaking of the Bengals, they made a little bit of a trade. I didn't really get the numbers in terms of draft picks and stuff that they got for Mr. Flacco, but the Bengals looked at Jake Browning and said, even though Jamar Chase had a pretty nice game, they looked at Browning and was like, we're going to go to a different direction. So they're going to bring in maybe save hopefully fantasy and for real elections in their own division. So Zoo, what are your thoughts on, I guess, the future of the Bengals? What do you think this puts them? Playoffs, fringe, out of it? How do you see this?
First thing I know is like, man, this is kind of desperate. It's kind of desperate of the situation they're in where people had expectations of them at least being a playoff team. Without Joe Burrows, we saw the back of Jake Brown and Mr. Pick Machine himself. They couldn't even stand the side of him. The thing is, they're getting a guy who he still has a pretty good arm, man. One thing you always say about Joe Flacco, he does have a good arm. He's pretty accurate down the field with his deep bombs, but the guy's 40. The guy cannot move. He's a statue. And he has 2 touchdowns and 6 interceptions this year. 2 touchdowns, 6. He has a QBR of 27. He's 31st out of 32 starting NFL quarterbacks. So this is the guy that they got. This is the guy that they're desperate enough to get because they were so sick of Jake Browning in the situation they were in with him. And I'm looking at the situation. I'm like, is Joe Flacco really going to save? Like, I admire them trying to do something, try to switch something up to see if they could reshuffle the deck and see if this new hand is going to produce any results. But I have a bad feeling that this is just going to be same results with just a different quarterback that's a little older, a little more experienced. Because I don't know, Joe Flacco went in bed like Gabriel coming. He looked kind of good. He can look kind of good. I'm not going to say that it's just one game, but he did look kind of good. So I'm just, all I got to say is Joe. Yeah, he did. Yeah.
First game.
Yeah. But he did look kind of good.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't have much expectations. I have no opinions about this Gabriel guy. But Joe Flacco did not really produce in his 4 games so far. Like, the first game against the Bengals, I give him that. That was a pretty good game with this 290 yards and 69 completion percentage. But they came with 2 interceptions. Mm-hmm. So the interception issue is still going to be an issue right now. And with this offensive line where it's wretched, you have a stature quarterback. Like, you're going to try to protect this guy. You're going to have to protect this old man. Like, I was scared for Joe Flacco's career might end with this situation.
I agree.
I'm just like, look at the situation. I'm like, Joe Flacco's like, man, like, I ain't going to quit. I'm going to keep playing. I'm going to keep trying to play NFL quarterback until the day they tell me I'm not good enough, and then I can take a seat back, and I ain't being a mentor. I'm going to retire. He might get retired after the end of this season in this division. Like, you're playing against really, really, really good defenses, and the I would say it, as you mentioned now, the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns, man. A little revenge game, like Cleveland Browns.
Myles Garrett.
Yeah, Myles Garrett. You're talking about Pittsburgh Steelers.
So Micah Parsons this week.
Good defense, man. I'm like, good luck, Joe Flacco. Good luck, Joe Flacco. Obviously, he's going to have some fun weapons to play with. Like, we might have a T. Higgins sighting because right now, no T. Higgins.
No T. Higgins. Yeah.
Disappearance. Like, obviously, I always mention he's a receiver too. And in a situation with the QB downgrade, obviously, the receiver two is not going to eat as much in a situation where they can't even get the ball down the field right now. Like, Jamar Chase barely ate. So you're looking at this situation. I'm like, I think it's pretty funny. I think it's desperate. But it's good to see a team that's making a move right now because they're probably like, okay, we're only 2-3 right now, and we got the Baltimore Ravens at 1-4, Cleveland Browns at 0-4, like Pittsburgh are 3-1, but they're not really scared of like Pittsburgh. That's not a very dominating team, so they're like, man, we might just squeak in this division right now because the division has never been more weak record wise. Because you're talking about Baltimore Ravens that's dominated this division for the last, I would say, half decade without their MVP quarterback right now. Maybe for next game or maybe a couple more games, depending how long that hammy lingers, but. They see a little window here that they may be able to squeak in. So they're reshuffling the deck, and I applaud the move, but I think it's very, very desperate. Very desperate.
I agree. It's probably fruitless, but I was thinking about it because I was one of the big things I think that we're forgetting is if Burrow can come back, when would that be? And I was looking at the schedule. And they play on December 14th because it does say, like in most of the reports, like early mid-December, right, would be like when he could potentially come back. That December 14th game is against the Ravens. And if Lamar doesn't play this week, they're playing the Rams. All right. They're going to be 1-5. They're going to be 1-5 through week 6. You incorporate the bye week, right? All that. You said it perfectly, Zeus. Steelers, we know what they're going to be. They're going to be right around 9-8, maybe 10-7. They'll probably, they'll be in contention, and that might be enough to win the division. But with the strength, or maybe not as much strength potentially in the rest of the AFC, who's kind of been, out. Surprisingly, the best division is the AFC South. If you're looking at the competition between 1 and 2 in the respective divisions, it is the Colts and the Jaguars. So you're talking about a potential wild card opportunity. If they go 9-8, the Bengals, that could be enough. So what you're saying is if he comes back in week 15 for the last 4 games, Joe Burrow, that means Joe Flacco's got 8 games to pretty much keep that at 500. And if they're at 500, if they go 500 at this point, they'll be 6-7 through week 14. And look at who they get to play. They get to play Baltimore. They'll probably be back healthy.
Defense. Yep.
But the defense is open. They play Miami, Arizona, and Cleveland. That's 4 winnable games. That's what I'm saying. If they're 6-7 through week 14, they have a potential to go 9-8, 10-7. So I'm not saying I believe in Flacco. I think he gets absolutely crucified back there. Jake Browning actually made a couple decent throws on the move this past week. Joe Flacco's not going to be able to do that. And I just mentioned his first matchup with this. Do you want to talk about truly Swiss cheese, dude? That's his O-line right there. Yeah, Micah Parsons, man. I mean, come on. This is going to be ugly. It's his first week. He also doesn't know the system. He's savvy enough to read defenses, which I think is the biggest part. But it's also possible that he doesn't even start this week. I don't know if they've announced it yet. Maybe they gave him a game to get used to it. But this is a must-win week for the Bengals. They have to bounce back, and they're playing the Green Bay Packers, so that's probably not going to happen. So it's tough. I don't think they'll pull it off. It is possible, but I do think if they're hovering around 5-8, 6-7, they might try and start Burrow in week 15 if he is ready to go, because they'll have a shot.
What does scare me, though, is if you look at these games, they're like 2-3. Okay, they're middling. Not really. Based on the performance, they're lucky to be 2-3.
Yes.
They have the worst plus-minus in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
71. That is below the woolly Tennessee Titans, Vegas Raiders, and the Cleveland Browns, and the 0-5 Jets at minus 45. So minus 74 is by far the worst. Like, we all know, like they were lucky to get that one win over the Browns, even the Jags too. Like I saw those like this team could easily an over based on the performance. They should have 0 wins right now, but they were lucky to squeeze out 2 lucky wins. But based on their performance right now, this has been a horrendous football team. Just an absolutely horrendous football team. And Joe Flacco, I'm like, is that going to change your fortune? Like, 500. Like,
maybe fantasy
500. Fantasy production wise, maybe it gets a better production. But if you're looking at reality right now, they are in that tier with the Tennessee Titans, Raiders, Jets, Browns, Saints. Like, this is a really, really bad football team. Just a really bad team.
They're tough to watch.
My question is not even about Joe Flacco. Like, because obviously he's 40. He struggled with the Browns, who are not devoid of talent. I mean, look at Quinshawn Judkins. Look at some of the receivers. I think they have some guys that can play, right? And the defense is nasty. So, like, Joe Flacco just really had to just be average, and they would probably be in a whatever better situation that they are in now, record-wise at least. So I'm just looking at Joe Flacco as we traded whatever. It's the Bengals. He, has got some reps. He's had some live reps. Let's just go ahead and see what we do. This, though, signifies to me that they're not trying to seriously do anything. Because if they was a serious organization, this goes back to Cincinnati, bro. Like, they're starting to become, for me, just one of the franchises that Joe Burrow's cool. Jamal Chase is a Hall of Famer. I like T. Higgins, and they got some defensive guys. But, and I do like Demetrius Knight, who played at the University of South Carolina. He's one of the bright spots as a rookie linebacker. But I'm just like, dude, they don't care nothing about winning. Like, what? So they gave up a 6th round or whatever, got back a 5th or vice versa, whatever that trade was. They're not serious about winning. Because if you were serious about winning, you could. I don't know what asking price would have been for a Jameis or for a Russell Wilson or for a Kirk Cousins. But like, if you were serious about, hey, let's keep this guy, you know, just Joe Burrow, the guy I'm talking about. Let's keep this guy like on the mend to see, let's just monitor what he's doing. But let's get a guy in here with the guys we have on offense. And even though our defense is whatever, we still have a chance to compete in these games. Let's go get a guy like I just said, a Kurt, a guy like Jameis, a guy like Russell Wilson. Now, if you're telling me, which I highly doubt, but if you're telling me, hey, you got to give a third round pick or second round pick for those guys, well, then I'm out. But I doubt that's what the asking price was. Like, you can't tell me that you could have got Jameis, Kurt, or Russell for a fourth and later. Hell, maybe even like a fifth.
And they're all a little bit more mobile, except maybe Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
But Sean, you're bringing up a point because I wanted to ask you this specifically. Would you have tried to give Derek Carr a call?
I didn't even think about him, but yeah.
Absurd, but honestly.
Yeah. I would have. I never thought about him, but yeah, I definitely would have gave him a call. Because
he would have actually
just retired.
He might have made them relevant.
And been free. Like, not free, but
whatever.
Like just whatever the standard contract is for a quarterback that come out the street. But yeah, like even a guy like Derek Carr, who I know he had his shortcomings, but like I've been talking about on this pod for weeks now, like it's hard to screw up Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and whatever else you got back. And I know Chase Brown has kind of been up and down, especially fantasy, but it's like that's just because of the quarterback. Like I think if the quarterback gets on track, then you got to and the O-line. But I think if the quarterback gets on track, that opens Chase Brown just a little bit more to make him probably fantasy relevant at least. But it's like, dude, and some would say, which I'm not mad at this, is like if you're Joe Burrow's camp and you're Joe Burrow, there's a chance of you coming back, but you also don't want, and this is not a Joe Burrow thing, but it's a star quarterback thing. You don't want the backup coming in looking great. I'm sure Joe Burrow's not caring, and he's probably elated that Joe Flacco is starting because it makes him look more valuable. And that's nothing against Joe Burrow. That's just his situation right now. But that's every star quarterback. Nobody wants the backup to look good. They talked about Peyton Manning, Tom Brady all the time. They never gave backups a shot, even just the first team if they roll their ankle in practice because they don't want to.
Jimmy Garoppolo got traded because of that.
Yeah, seriously. And like you said, now to Tom Brady's credit, he kind of had the pull to do that. Like that's Tom Brady, bro. Yeah. Like he's won you championships. If Jimmy G's got to go, Jimmy G's got to go. I'm sorry. And Tom proved to be right in that situation. But I will say, like, Joe Burrow's not losing sleep over this. So I don't want to put anything on Joe Burrow saying like, oh, he kind of made it seem like, hey, I don't want you to bring no Kurt or all that. I'm not saying he did that, but I'm just looking at Cincinnati Bengals. It's like, dude, like I understand that Joe could maybe come back in December, but let's be serious. Like at least act like you care. Like if you're looking at your fans, just from a fan perspective, like, hey, we went out and got Jameis. We went out and got Kurt. We went out and got Derek Carr. We got somebody who's going to make us competitive because to your point also, people, it's like the Ravens looks like they're going to miss the playoffs. I know I said last week about the Steelers, and it's just we always need to trust them, but it's still early. Like things can happen. Like there's moving parts in that division to where it's like, hey, if we just have a competent quarterback, maybe we could win it. Or maybe we could sneak into the playoffs. So it's like, do I think that's happening to Joe Flacco? I don't. So to me, it's just like,
watch him. He's going to cook now. He's going to cook.
And he may go out there and just absolutely destroy the next 4 or 5 opponents. And the next thing you know, we look up and they're 10-3, and it's like, oh, snap. Like they've only lost one game in the last whatever. But I'm betting that Flacco doesn't do that, and it just goes to Cincinnati's just wasting years. Like I said, Jamar Chase is a Hall of Famer. T. Higgins I think could be a bona fide number one for a lot of guys. Just keep wasting years. Just go ahead and keep wasting years. Now you're going to look up, and then Jamar's going to start probably become, because it happens to everybody. It's not Jamar's problem. It's the NFL. People start becoming injury prone. T. Higgins, all of a sudden, he goes out, and he really just can't stand being number 2, so he wants to get traded. Stuff happens in this league. So you can't just be like, well, we got these guys, and we're going to continue. We still got Joe. So, like, there's windows. In any other of these sports, like basketball, I mean, any of the major sports, but especially football because how physical it is, these windows don't last. So you think, oh, Joe's coming back next year. Let's just say he doesn't come back this year. He'll be fine next year. Joe could be fine next year, and it's still not enough because there's, like I said, there's new guys coming in every league. So I don't know. I'm always about maximizing opportunity.
Time is the biggest enemy. Yep.
If this was, just think of the Jet. I mean, not even Jets because they got Garrett Wilson, but like just a team that's devoid of receivers and playmakers. I'd be like, whatever. Joe Flacco, just and if we win some games, we win some games. But like they have too much talent on offense specifically. Yeah, the Browns. I'd be like, put in a rookie or whatever, and we'll see what happens. But it's just Cincinnati irritates me because they're notoriously cheap. They don't take a lot of chances, and they've just been gifted a lot of this, like Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins. And it's just like I see how this story's going to end. They're just not going to take advantage of it, and it's annoying. But that's the NFL, whatever. So
as long as Chase keeps scoring, that's all I care about.
Garbage time, no matter.
Yes, sir.
No garbage time touchdowns, garbage time catches. That's for sure helping in fantasy. So. We'll see how it ends up with the Cincinnati Bengals. But getting into our bets this week, I wanted to ask the guys what were some of their favorite parts. And Bush, you can go ahead and start us off and tell us how your week went.
Man, Herbert, that was a tough call, man. I mean, I don't think we see it, man. But losing Joe Alt and Slater, man, that's absolutely massive.
Yeah, that's just
it's tough, man. I still think they're a good team, and I think they'll bounce back, especially since Alt isn't, going to be out for too much longer. I think they'll be relevant, but that was a tough play last week. Quentin Johnson, they couldn't. None of them could get it going. I mean, Ladd McConkey finally scored, but he still wasn't really fantasy in a DraftKings sense relevant enough to win you any contests. But man, oh man, that Justin Fields and Dak Prescott stacks, man, they turned out real nice.
Justin Fields,
Jake Ferguson, just a weekly start, man. He's just a weekly start, no questions asked.
He's cheap too, man. He's cheaper than the top guys.
He's still cheap, but now he's more expensive, and I'll get into that very quickly right now. But yeah, it was tough for me. Couple decent plays, pretty much broke even. Got really saved by all the Fields and Garrett Wilson garbage time and Breece Hall as well. That was just a huge play. And then the Texans, man, they were a great pick. On the defensive side, I think until Lamar comes back, and even potentially when he does come back, defenses against this Ravens team could be very interesting, especially with just how slow Derrick Henry's been. And now he is $6,100 on DraftKings. I have not seen Derrick Henry under $7K in probably 5 years. It's crazy to say.
Wow.
Sucker bet.
Unbelievable. He hasn't gotten 50 yards since week 1. Very scary. We might be finally seeing the fall off. It could just also be the teams are stacking the box with Cooper Rush at quarterback.
I think that's what that is.
That's it.
Yeah, but we'll see. Maybe he's going to end up having a huge bounce back week, and you're going to get an absolute boom performance from him at a very cheap price. You just got to try and time it. It's a tough one to time, though. And I'm not doing it this week against the number 1 rush defense in the Los Angeles Rams. Absolutely not. No, thank you. But there's a lot of juicy matchups this week. I mean, mostly on one side compared to the other. You got the Rams, like I just mentioned, against the Ravens. Chargers against Miami. That could be a little bit more interesting just with the offensive line issues, like I mentioned. The beast ability of Green Bay versus Cincinnati. That could be ugly. New England and the Saints is interesting. Seattle, Jacksonville, Dallas versus Carolina. There's a lot. So you could go on the cheap route with like a Rattler or a Mac Jones. You could go up to Drake May, Jordan Love, Stafford. I think is a great play if you want to pay almost $9,000 for Puka. Go for it, man. But you're not affording anybody else.
Puka's a premium,
as he should be. As he should be. So I'm actually I'm going to lean against a team that they've actually looked relatively decent, and they're playing a Swiss cheese defense. Give me Bryce Young for $4,800, man. I'm starting him. I think this is the week that Tet finally scores. He's been getting open, making a lot of big catches for Bryce. He just hasn't been able to find the end zone. He's still relatively cheap, so I kind of like that stack. The reason I'm going a little bit cheaper on the quarterback front is because I want to pay up for a few players, man. Josh Jacobs versus the Bengals, absolutely. That is going to be a huge payoff, hopefully. Kyron Williams also against Baltimore. I just think both of those game scripts favor those two guys at the running back position. And then JSN versus Jacksonville. And Sam Darnold and him have a serious connection, and it has more to do with the greatness of JSN than the greatness of Sam Darnold. They're meshing well together. I know, Sean, you're going to mention it, but shout out Sam Darnold, right? He makes a couple mistakes, but he'll get JSN his. And I like MHJ. Give me him against the Colts, not too horrible. And if you want to go Golden or Dobbs, pick one or the other with a nice little stack if you want to go the Jordan Love route. This might be the Matthew Golden games. His targets have been increasing.
I've been waiting.
Every week.
I've been patiently waiting.
Patiently waiting. Yeah, cool. 57. there. But yeah, man, it's Matthew Golden. I like him, and he's cheap. He's $5,000 this week. And lastly, man, keep it rolling. Give me Jake Ferguson at the tight end. He's at 5,300 now. I think the only one.
Oh wow, 500 or 500. I feel like
McBride might still be a little bit more expensive than him. I'd have to double check, but he's rightfully so, man. Tight end one by a margin at this point. So I'll feed him that, and then just pick whatever cheap defense you want. I'm going Titans against the Geno Smith. You want to talk about Mr. Picks? It might be Jake Browning, but Geno Smith's giving him a damn good run for his money.
They paid him.
Mm-hmm.
Paid him for all those picks. Okay. Yeah, as you mentioned, man, last week was rough. It was rough with those Chargers, man, because I thought it was a beautiful, beautiful situation. Play a guy coming off injury, and Jaden Daniels, fresh like a daisy, man. He got a touchdown, even rushed for 39 yards. That's way more than I thought, and got absolutely annihilated. Like going the first quarter, 10-0. I was like, oh, Chargers are rolling, man. Chargers are rolling. And what does Quentin Johnson do, man? Fumble. Fumble.
Finally came back to earth.
Dude, I'm like, man. And after that, 27 unanswered. Think about it. That's actually very, like, 27 unanswered. I know the fumble hurt, man, but you got to mentally bounce back from that. And, like, not bouncing back and not scoring a single point in the second quarter.
Omarion getting hurt didn't help.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
I got you. You got Lazo to a little ankle injury. They have to cart him off. You lost Hampton to, I believe he is on IR.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, so, like, obviously injuries happen, but it's kind of embarrassing getting annihilated by 17 points at home. Like, this is your opportunity to, like, you gotta win this division this year. Like, you have to win this division with the start you have right now. But man, luckily the Chiefs lost because the Chiefs blew a golden opportunity to come back record-wise in this division right now. Because if you're looking at division right now, Broncos 3-2, Chargers 3-2, Chiefs 2-3. It's like it's a toss-up right now.
Yep.
It's absolutely a toss-up right now, and the Chargers missed a perfect opportunity to take a lead right now, because right now they're tied with the Denver Broncos record-wise. So it was a blown opportunity. Obviously, the injuries happened, and they couldn't overcome the injuries. And after that, it was an absolute annihilation, because getting 27 unanswered.
That's brutal.
That's actually, I'm like, I still don't understand how that happened. So that is an absolute brutal pick right there. So my Lord, man, Justin Herbert, man, like I feel like sometimes these Chargers kind of curse sometimes with these injuries too.
A little bit.
Yeah, I just feel like every time I just feel like, oh, it gets a little hope. Like, is this the year that they look awesome for a couple of weeks and then injuries galore, man, especially at the offensive line. And now you're rookie running back who was producing with another injured running back in Najee Harris. So they're down to their third string run. Like, I don't even know who. I think it's like
Hassan Haskins and Kamani Vidal.
Yeah. Waiver wire, good luck with that pick, because who knows with those guys. Like, we're down to the third running back in a situation where the offensive line is completely battered. So, yeah, I don't know how that pick's going to produce, but that is a brutal situation right now with the Chargers right now. So, moving on from that, got to bounce back this week. And for me personally right now, like, I'm going to go with the old reliable. Old reliable.
The Bears.
No, not
the Bears. Not the Bears. The Bears cost me a lot by betting on the Chicago Bears. Even though -4.5, it's kind of interesting actually for them to cover the spread. +4.5 for the Chicago Bears. Even
is
on
it the Saints?
No, it's Commanders. But
Commanders.
Yeah, but for me, my old reliable is the Buffalo Bills against the Atlanta Falcons, man. They're on the road. It's only a -3.5 point spread. Josh Allen just loves beating on bad teams. Like, that's what he does, man. He just beats down on bad teams, and their margin of victory against bad teams, especially after that loss against the Patriots, where
that was a big win for the
Pats. That was a very, very impressive win.
Diggs showed up
for the Patriots right now.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, Drake May. Like, he might not have thrown any touchdowns, but for a guy that did not throw any touchdowns,
great game.
He looked kind of awesome. He kind of looked awesome. He had 22 for 30 from the field, 273 passing yards, man. Like, even the running game, non-existent, but shout out to Stephon Diggs, Mr. Party Boy right now, because he is partying on the field now with 146 yards, because that is like a statement type of game, because it's been the Hunter Henry show, but Stephon Diggs popping up for that much, I'm like, okay, that's actually very, very impressive against the team. I guess makes sense against his old team. Against his old team, against Josh Allen. It didn't really
in Buffalo.
It didn't really end on good terms. You know what I mean? It didn't really end on good terms. There's some type of way between Diggs and Josh Allen. There is some beef between that, but now back-to-back 100-yard games for Stephon Diggs. He's just shown that he still can produce right now, even at this later stage. But I think that's a wake-up call for this Buffalo Bills team. Their first home loss of the year against a divisional rival. Time to get back on track against a Falcons team that I'm not very impressed with. Even though they're 2-2 right now, I'm not really impressed with this roster right now. After that 30-0 loss at the Panthers, I kind of lost a lot of respect for this roster. Even though they beat the Commanders where there's no Jaden Daniels. So there's a perfect opportunity for the Bills back on primetime Monday night to get back on track for an easy dub, because when they play 500 and below teams, they take care of business. That's one thing they do. They take care of business with that. So rolling with Josh Allen right now.
That spread's interesting.
Yeah.
Very. I think
I hear him calculating his parlays right now. That's what I hear.
very, very interesting.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you talk about that actual line. If you were to look, even though I'm not going to go to the bet just yet, but the one thing that's interesting about that is it is I want to say it's a Monday night game, 7-16.
Monday night.
Those spotlight games always get funky, and it goes into what happened last week. Shout out to Sam Darnold. Listen, things happened. I think it ricocheted off the dude's helmet. It was pretty much, I will say, all the way up into that moment, I was thinking, here we go again. The Seahawks are going to march down the field, kick a field goal, ruin my parlay, whatever. Listen, football guys, they've been listening. I think it got ricocheted off the helmet. Interception. Then they just kind of set up the perfect field goal for McLaughlin or whatever. Won that. Was able to get that money line. Then obviously, watching last night, not going to lie, 14-0 Chiefs. I'm thinking to myself, like, you know what? This is what happens when you go against Mahomes when he's in back against the wall. But like I said on the last pod, Jacksonville's defense has been opportunistic. And it's not to say their defense is just like freaking stonewall and they're just only letting opponents win or only have opponents at like 15 points a game. No, they're just making turnovers. And in the case last night, I think it's Devin Lloyd. I'm not sure who it was. I know it's Lloyd, his last name. But, I mean, the pick six, he read it perfectly like he was studying tape, and he took it back. And that kind of shifted the momentum of the game. Like we talking about with Trevor Lawrence, nobody's mistaking him for making leaps and bounds as a passer. But like you said, he was figuring it out on the ground. He got 2 touchdowns, and they ended up winning that game and beating the Chiefs. So I was able to go 2-0 with that. I don't want to take credit and be like, oh, this is just because of like my expertise in doing parlays. This is literally, if you just look at betting, it is the slimmest of margins of how it happened. Like, honestly, like last week, if you want to think about both of those games, I probably should have lost the Seattle-Tampa Bay game. Because, I mean, it was just setting up for Sam Darnold, who's been playing well, to drive down the field and kick a field goal. Yep. So, like, the fact that it ricocheted off the guy's helmet and all that stuff, that's just – and I know there was pressure, so you got to give Tampa Bay credit for that. But it's just kind of the luck of the draw with that. And to me, it's like, I think if, he didn't get that pick six last night, who knows if the Chiefs lose. So that's just kind of the slim margins. But, hey, we'll take the wins how we can get it. I want to say that bet was around plus 510. So if you put a little bit of money on there, you made a pretty decent money. So getting into it this week, again, a lot of these games, I don't like getting into like any of the bad teams or like the teams you obviously have like quarterback injuries or what the spreads are really high. I don't like getting as far into those because to me, it's just like anything can happen. And if we're trying to do spread plays and quarterbacks are injured or if teams are not that good, there's more of a chance that it's not getting within that spread. So the first game I look at is, I think this is I don't know why it says 4:26, but it's probably a 4:00 game. Detroit and Kansas City. Looking at that spread, with it being at Kansas City, 2.5. You get 3 at home. So it feels like the money is on the Lions. And I just looked up this stat because I was just looking at like the history of just the two teams. Jared Goff is 2-0 versus Patrick Mahomes, only 2 games, but that's saying something. I want to say the last game they played when they were at Kansas City, I think that was opening night off of the championship. They made kind of a statement. And, a lot has been said about them losing their coordinators, which I do understand, because anybody that loses their offensive defensive coordinators, that's going to obviously make you possibly take a step back. But I still think the offense is explosive. I still think Ahmad Ron is doing what Ahmad Ron's doing. I am disappointed in Jameson Williams. He's definitely still going back to his regression of ways of boomer buzz. But I love David Montgomery and I love Jamar Gibbs. And one thing about the Chiefs, now Travis Etienne and their offensive line didn't really take advantage of it, but I think they can be ran on. And to me, if you get a situation where you got Montgomery and Gibbs feasting, that's just going to make the job that much easier for Goff. Now, if you want to come in here and tell me that Chris Jones and a couple of the guys on the defensive line are going to be stout, then this game is going to be a whole lot closer. Because I do think the Chiefs sense I don't want to say they're panicking, but they do sense this is urgent. Like, this is, okay, we got to get right. Because I'm pretty sure when we was all making these projections for the Rashee Rice return game, we wasn't factoring them losing to Jacksonville. So if you're telling me they lose to Jacksonville and lose to Detroit, even if Rashee comes back, it starts getting a little dicey. So one could argue, hey, maybe you just want to stick with the Chiefs because they got to have it. But also, too, sometimes you look in the league and it's like some teams are just better. Like Detroit has better personnel.
Yeah,
better personnel than the Chiefs. So, if you're telling me that this spread is like I said, it's 2.5.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think it drops anymore, but I'm not mad at just the money line with the Lions on that one. Because I don't think the spread is worth it. I think I would just go money line with the Lions. I would like that.
Wow.
You see, Sean, it's funny you say that because when Andy said I'm betting old reliable, I was for sure waiting on the Chiefs.
That's what I was thinking too.
It ain't old reliable anymore.
Not gonna lie. When I said roll reliable, I was looking at the Bills, but right above my screen, I saw my Chiefs right there. I'm like, ooh, the Lions kind of look awesome.
Yeah, that's gonna be a great game.
Because that offense, low key, like after that week 1 fumble where did not look like them at all. They looked like the same team like last year, not like taking turns. David Montgomery threw for a passing touchdown. Like they were just kind of playing games. Like they were actually playing games with them. They're like, let's get Monty a passing touchdown. He has like a connection with the Bengals area. So like he got a rushing touchdown. Gibbs got his touchdown. They're just kind of like having fun.
Yeah. So Sean, what's the Lions money line at?
So the money line on that one is plus 118. So you can get that. I think over under for that is 52.5.
That's high.
I have the only thing is, I mean, I always say I bet the under, but I know Tyrion Arnold. I think he's hurt. Pretty sure he got hurt. So it's like maybe they're factoring in Mahomes. Maybe I guess they're the top corner for Detroit being down, and Mahomes may start throwing over the yard, and it turns to a shootout maybe. But I don't see the shootout aspect from the Chiefs side. So I would probably stay away from the over and under, and if I did, it'd just be under. But yes, plus 118 on that one. And Zoo just brought it up. Like, I'm going again with my luck with the Jacksonville Jaguars I had last week with Kansas City. It being a primetime game, weird things happen. Listen, the thing about Josh Allen and the Bills that I like and I don't like, their defense seems really good. Like their D line looks like they're deep. Like they got a lot of guys. Like TJ Sanders, the guy from South Carolina, like, and another guy they got from Kentucky. I want to say, like those guys are coming. They got other guys. The Russo guys finally showed up in the last game that they played. I think defensively, I'm not worried about them. But outside of that first game with Keon Coleman, like it's still tough for me to be like, and I know he's more just spreading it around, but outside of James Cook, I just don't see it at receiver. And it showed up a little bit in the last game, and combining with the penalties and fumbling, like they were just playing out of sorts. And I will say, when it's a division game, it always gets weird. It doesn't matter who you're playing and how bad the team is. When you're playing a division game, it's always going to get weird because it's just they see you the most and they can game plan for you. And we got to respect Mike Vrabel. Like he's he's the coach now, so he's going to have a game plan for him. So that was just a bad night. But like Peebles said, why is that 4.5?
I'm shocked.
I know it's on the road, but and I get it. It's the Falcons, and most people, including me, saw how Michael Penix played against Carolina. Be that as it may, on the road, he looked good the next week. And when we're talking about talent, just on the offensive side of the ball, like I don't think it's comparable. Like it's Josh Allen, but like I'd rather have Bijan than James. I'd rather have Drake than any other receiver. And if on a good day, I might want Mooney over Coleman if like everything's clipping. But Coleman,
I thought you were going to say Pitts over. I thought you were going to say Pitts over Kincaid.
You know how I feel about Pitts. Like I've been out on Pitts forever. Like
Kincaid has actually looked good.
Kincaid has looked really, really good. He's starting to blossom into what he is supposed to be as a first round pick. So he is a reliable option. But also too, like the Falcons defenses look really, really good.
Yes.
And it's not a surprise because if you look at their draft history, they drafted 2 defensive end pass, like one's like an outside linebacker, whatever, type pass rusher, and then a traditional defensive end, one from Tennessee and I think one from Georgia. And part of their thing was we want to improve this defense because we feel like we've stacked the decks on the offensive side of the ball. And I was looking at some of their stats. Like I want to say it says the defense ranks first in total defense, fewest yards per game, 244. And that's like as a top, it's their pass defense, and they're only allowing pass defensive wise 135. So you could probably look at opponents and be like, I wonder who they played. But 4.5, again, 75% of the reason why I'm probably picking this is because of it being a Monday night game. And a quick aside, I hate that we're doing 2 Monday night games. It just dilutes it. I can't follow. Like, it's just stupid to me.
I'll only be watching one. Let me tell you. Actually, you know what?
Dumb.
I need Josh Allen to cook, and then I need to watch my Bears cook.
Yeah. So it's just you can watch them on 2 screens.
I got a lot of skin on Monday night. Let me tell you.
So do I. I got Allen as a quarterback in one of my leagues too. So, and I got a couple Falcon guys. So, just looking at that line, I thought that was interesting. Just being 4.5. Like I said, if I would just put it in Atlanta plus 4.5, that would come out to be plus 325 with Detroit money line. But I don't know, man. If you want to just get it back to the 500s, how you've been saying it, you can just do money line, and that's plus 190 with the Falcons, and that's plus 532. So I don't know. Obviously the one I feel the best about is the Lions, but I mean that Falcons 4.5. That means they're telling me that the Falcons have more talent, and it's really just this is Josh Allen. So if Josh Allen just has a Josh Allen game, then the Bills will win. But it's like if the Falcons defense is as good as it is and they stop James Cook, then the Bills are going to have issues.
That's why they lost last night. James Cook couldn't do anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. And maybe they're looking at that as like maybe that's a real issue. And like I said, if this was a nooner, I bet you this spread is different. It's probably like plus 7.5 Bills, and it's probably, comfortably the Bills win. But anytime you start getting these primetime games, players play a little bit above their skis. And literally that's what happened to Jacksonville last night. You can't tell me if that was a 12 o'clock game, if the Chiefs were up 14-0, that's not a blowout. That's a blowout. If it's 12 o'clock in Duval or 11 o'clock in Duval, it's fine. But it's the night, Trevor Lawrence had a, get right game, as I guess they would call it. But yeah, those are two teams that I'm looking at, Detroit and the Falcons. Like I said, it's a possibility.
Good luck.
It's a possibility. So we'll see. And like I said, with all these 2-leg parlays, you guys can link to the show notes if you want to get any more information on that. So that'll be it for the rest of this pod. Make sure you guys tune into our YouTube, Quattro Knows, Instagram, Tyson Talks _ same for TikTok. If you're in any of the Spotify and Apple podcast regions, make sure you give us a 5-star review, leave us a comment to get into the algorithms. Make sure you also like these videos on YouTube. And for me, Zoo, and P. Bush, we are out.